Hi moms and dads, welcome back to my channel. I know that there are a lot of people thinking about homeschooling this year for the 2020-21 school year because of COVID, and I wanted to make this video to help the parents that are maybe considering homeschooling just make it a little bit easier to figure out if this is the right call for you and if you'd like to homeschool this year or not, and if you do, what are the steps that you need to take to get there and make it kind of easier for you. Step number one is to find out what the requirements are in your state. This is so important because the requirements vary greatly from state to state. The requirements in New York are much more strict than the requirements in, say, Texas and Alaska. So I have lived in 4 different states, and they've all been different, they've all been unique, but they've had about the same level of difficulty, I guess, or requirements when it comes to homeschooling. Definitely be sure to check out what yours are because that will determine a lot of the rest of your school year and what that needs to look like and the things that you need to do. Step number 2 will be to decide what program or what curriculum you want to teach with this year. So there are a lot of different programs. Some of the common ones are Charlotte Mason. Eclectic is like a mixture, I guess, unschooling or classical. Those are just some of the different types of homeschooling styles that you can do. I do a little bit of a combination. Sunlight is kind of a combination of, I would say, classical and Charlotte Mason, and maybe a little Montessori too. It's a little bit of a mix. Picking out what you want to do is so much fun, or it can be so much fun, and also just gives you a lot of freedom. That's one of the things I love about homeschooling is you get to decide what you want to do, and if you want to go with a more classical route or if you want to go kind of just whatever it is that you want to do and just piece it together yourself. For me, that's a little terrifying, but some people love it. I prefer the structure, so that is why I chose the program I chose, just so that my days are already planned out. So that's step number 2, is choosing a curriculum. Number 3 is scheduling out your school year. And the reason number 3 is because you have to first know your school requirements or your state requirements, and then you want to know what you're doing, and then you can schedule all of those activities and figure out what you're going to do with your school year. So decide if you want to do homeschooling for year round. I personally tend to do this because my family moves quite a bit, and we might be moving during the school year, so it's better for us to be able to school through the summer so that if we miss a month in December or we miss a month, in March, it's not a huge deal. We'll stay on track because I like to stay on track when it comes to school. So I would definitely recommend scheduling out what you want your school year to look like, how many hours a day. Again, can depend on your school, on your state requirements, so make sure that you know what you need to do. And then, you can schedule out everything you need to for the year. And then also you can schedule out your field trips, anything like that you want to do. If you like scheduling and planning, like I do, you might want to see, some different field trips that would work well with the program that you're using. That's one of the reasons I recommend deciding beforehand where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing for school that year. So that then when you're scheduling out your school year, you can maybe plan some really cool field trips that coincide with whatever you're working on that week or that month. So that's step number 3, is just deciding your schedule for the year, whether it be all year or just for a designated amount of time. Step number 4 is to get organized. And I don't think that everybody loves organizing as much as I do. I love organizing. Basically, I just want to put on music and spend hours, rifling through my books or whatever, making checklists, and then crossing off the checklist. But I really enjoy organizing. And I don't know what everyone does, but as a homeschooler, it definitely helps to be at least a little bit organized, because you don't want to spend the first 30 minutes of your day finding all of your pencils or your erasers. If you have it all in one place, it is so helpful. So I definitely recommend spending some time getting really organized, making sure your kids know where everything goes too, so that they can help stay on track and stay organized. And lastly, step number 5 is to plan out your extracurricular activities. So this can be sports, co-ops, anything like that. So for our situation, I have my kids in ballet, jazz, jiu-jitsu, and we do a co-op which taught science this last year. So we did astronomy and general science, and this was really helpful, so I didn't have to do everything myself. I was not the only one in charge of my kids' education this last year. And that's really nice, and it's also good for the kids to get that other social interaction. Speaking of social interaction, I know that a lot of times that homeschooling can get a little bit lonely, and I really recommend, trying to find some groups or co-ops, whatever you can find to get into so that you can kind of get that support you need. I was homeschooled. I don't know if you guys know that watching this video, but I was homeschooled, and when I was in high school, I was able to take choir, band, history, literature, and Latin. And I really think that it helped, especially as a high schooler, to be able to be taught and be able to just, experience more of those things. So if you're looking for something for your high school or junior high, they're out there. I would really encourage you to look around. And lastly, if you have any questions specifically about homeschooling, you can pop them in the comments below, because I'm happy to help answer questions. I have a little bit of experience just from the fact that I was homeschooled, but I also have been homeschooling for several years now, and I really love it, and I have just a lot of information I'd be happy to share. So if you liked today's video, subscribe to my channel. I'll be putting out new videos every single week with lots of information all about homeschooling, and if you have any good homeschooling stories or what you did and you want to share your experiences, comment them below. I'd be really excited to see what you guys did for your homeschooling journey.